The universal journey towards happiness, though often elusive, is a shared experience. Many people associate happiness with material wealth, yet numerous wealthy individuals report feeling unfulfilled and restless. This dichotomy underscores the critical understanding that happiness does not purely depend on material possessions, nor does unhappiness stem exclusively from their lack. The relationship between wealth and happiness is not clear-cut. Some affluent people live in profound sadness, while others, with meager resources, experience immense joy. This observation allows us to see that happiness is not solely a product of fulfilling our desires. If this were the case, poverty would always equate to misery and affluence to contentment, which we know is not always the case. Often, the most dissatisfied individuals are surrounded by riches, while the most content have only the basic needs met. Numerous people who have amassed wealth confess that their self-centered chase for material gains has made life less enjoyable, recalling happier times in their more straightforward past. So, what truly constitutes happiness, and how can it be attained? Is it just an illusion while suffering is ever present? Upon deeper reflection, we come to understand that the common belief associating happiness solely with desire gratification is flawed, and such an erroneous conviction, fueled by selfish desires, often results in global suffering. Desire goes beyond mere physical needs, reaching into higher aspirations that can rob the intellectual and refined of the happiness emanating from the soul's purity. While many acknowledge that selfishness breeds unhappiness, they often mistakenly attribute this to other people's selfishness and not their own. Recognizing that our unhappiness comes from our own selfishness brings us closer to experiencing genuine happiness. The state of happiness encompasses joy and peace, an internal state of satisfaction where desires have minimal influence. The fleeting contentment that arises from fulfilled desires is temporary, followed by an endless cycle of new wants. Desire is insatiable, akin to a vast ocean, growing louder with each gratification, demanding more, taking a toll on its devotees until they fall prey to physical or mental suffering. By renouncing desire, we can attain a heavenly state of existence filled with boundless pleasures. Heaven and hell are subjective states of being. Self-indulgent desires lead to a downward spiral into hellish experiences. However, transcending the ego and achieving a state of consciousness devoid of self-awareness opens the door to heavenly realms. The self, limited in perception and deprived of true knowledge, often leads to suffering. In contrast, impartial judgment, accurate perception, and genuine knowledge are attributes of a divine state of consciousness. Authentic happiness can only be understood through the realization of this divine consciousness. The persistent, selfish quest for personal happiness leads to its evasiveness, while selflessly serving others manifests happiness and yields an abundance of bliss. Blessings descend upon the heart through acts of love rather than reciprocation. The completion of our journey lies in selfless giving, not in receiving. By focusing on satisfying one's needs and wants, one not only loses happiness but also estranges oneself from the source of presumed happiness. Take, for example, a glutton whose constant search for new treats to appease their numbed appetite results in discomfort and ill health. In contrast, those who have control over their appetites and dismiss thoughts of culinary pleasures find delight in the simplest of meals. Those who strive for self-preservation will lose their lives, while those willing to lose their lives will find them. True and lasting happiness is attained when one is ready to let go of selfish attachments. The ability to fully surrender impermanent aspects, even if held dear, brings about the realization that what seemed like a painful loss is actually a supreme gain. Abiding in true happiness can only be achieved by anchoring oneself in the permanent. Transcend the attachment and craving for transient things and rise above them. This elevation leads to a state of consciousness aware of the eternal. As self-centeredness diminishes, the spirit of purity, self-sacrifice, and universal love grows, culminating in a state of happiness devoid of reaction, a happiness that cannot be taken away. The heart that achieves complete selflessness in its love for others not only experiences the highest form of happiness but also steps into immortality, actualizing the divine. Looking back on your life, you will find that moments of profound happiness were those where you expressed compassion or performed acts of selfless love. Many people search relentlessly for happiness, oblivious to the fact that it already exists within and around them, permeating the universe. In their self-centered pursuits, they unknowingly isolate themselves from it. Let go of the egoistic mindset that seeks to control everything for its petty interests, and you will find yourself in the company of divine beings, immersed in universal love. By forgetting oneself and focusing wholeheartedly on alleviating others' sorrows, divine happiness frees us from all suffering. My journey to bliss started with a good thought, followed by a kind word, and concluded with a good deed. You, too, can embark on this journey. It's not a distant goal, it's here and now. True happiness, the kind that shields you from sorrow and offers unwavering joy, can be found by releasing old desires and selfish pursuits. If you long for a haven of peace where tears and sorrow cease, then surrender your self-centered heart and discover the heart of peace.